This is John for Global Women's Sports Radio. I have a very special guest today. I'm on the beat with Chauntiel Smith-Jones. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. You're always doing great. You are so positive. Every interview I've seen, you are smiling. You are happy. You're just positive.
Yes, got to be.
It's very good to see, especially in times like these. You know, we need all the positivity we can get. So let's jump into it. Could you start by giving us just a real brief, like mini biography of yourself, please?
Sure. So I am the CEO and founder of Capture Sports Agency, and I am a certified WNBA and FIBA sports agent. And pretty much our whole concept with Capture Sports Agency is pretty much to capture our athletes to be more than just athletes, and to help them be able to be more of an entrepreneur or role model or own a stake in a company or something like that, to build them more leverage and a legacy for themselves.
So what made you want to become a sports agent?
Oh man. Oh, John. So when I was in high school, um, I was playing basketball in high school, and I was running track, and I was playing against so many, good people or good athletes when I was playing basketball. And I thought for a second that I was gonna go to the WNBA, and I realized I wasn't. But there were so many people that were playing good that went to the next level, that played D1 basketball or even, went to that next level, but they didn't have the right representation, or to the point where, they had the money and then they ended up losing that money. And that just wasn't sitting right with me. And then also, I also wanted to come back and make a difference in my community as well. And help some of the athletes in my community, and also help, other people who may think about being a sports agent or something like that. So it's several reasons why I decided to become a sports agent, and seeing how athletes were being represented, and also bringing it back to my community.
Let's be clear though, you didn't make the WNBA, but you're a very good athlete.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that.
Now I read a quote from you, and I had to laugh, and I have to ask you. You mentioned that you realized you're not a zebra.
Yes. So in college, so this is another thing. In college, I was running track. I got a scholarship to run track because, like I said, I knew I wasn't going to go to the league and play in the WNBA in high school. So my other sport was track. So I ended up getting a scholarship to run track at Indiana Tech, and I thought that I was like super fast, and then when I got in there, I realized that everybody was running like zebras, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not running like. So the Olympics is out for me.
I just thought that was a fantastic line. It made me laugh. Um, so what kind of difficulties have you faced? Obviously, you're an African American woman, probably in an industry which is dominated, mostly at least I would guess by white males,
Yeah.
or at least at some point it was. So what kind of difficulties have you faced in that?
It's been some on several occasions. So there's been times where I've been in rooms, and they haven't recognized or given me the proper respect of me being a sports agent, because they automatically think I'm either a girlfriend or a wife or a baby mama, or even for that matter. But I'm really just in there to do my job and be a sports agent. So that's one of them. The second thing is, being a female sports agent in general, we have to worry about so many other different things than the male counterparts. Like, we have to worry about how we look and how we are perceived from other people, because they can look at us and think that we're one thing and we're really not that thing. So we have to worry about our appearance for the most part. And another thing is us having a seat at the table. We don't really get those options. We don't get those opportunities as much as our male counterparts as well. So we have to fight even harder to get into those areas, or get into those situations where we'll have a seat at the table and be able to have our voice be heard.
Did you ever get really discouraged at any point and went like, geez, I don't know, is this even worth it with, uphill battle?
Not really. So earlier in my career, when I was still in college, because I started Capture Sports Agency when I was still an undergrad. So for the most part, I was coming back from class, and I was, in deep conversation with God. And I kept asking him why. Why do you want me to start my own sports agency? Why do you want me to bring it back, to my community? And I said, you have me in this male dominated area, and I just I can't do this. Like, you're expecting me to do too much. And from there, I heard God's voice say, you know, if I called you to do this, then you're more than qualified. And at that point, I stopped crying, and I realized that, you know, God put me here for a reason. And I really just want to live out his purpose and his will for my life.
You know, it's interesting. I had that listed as a future question, but since you brought it up, I'll delve into it now. You on your website, I've checked it out. You have a few biblical quotes. Obviously, religion and faith plays a big part in it for you.
Yeah.
So, could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, the faith in the sports agency is huge, for me, only because that's our foundation. Because without God, the agency wouldn't be where it is today. Because he's pushed me so hard to keep going, and understand that he's working, in my favor and in the company's favor as well. And pretty much what I tell people is, yeah, we're a faith-based company, but we don't just go after clients who have that faith base. It's saying that, you know, if they run into a situation where they're not able to do something, or they're not motivated, or they can't find anything, we can pray for them. We can pray for their family, and we can pray for their friends and stuff like that if something goes wrong, you know. So that's something that we have with the agency. It's huge for us, and I love representing Christ with the agency.
And does your agency represent male athletes as well?
Yes, so we represent male and female.
Okay. Now, I also read that, I don't know exactly the best way. You're a little particular you don't just go after every athlete you can get. You kind of focus on certain ones, or with certain ideals. How does that work for you?
So for us, we're looking for athletes who want to give back to their communities, want to be role models, understand that there's more than life than just their sport. And once we find those type of athletes who have a vision of what they want their life to be, what they want their legacy to be, those are the type of athletes that we want. Those are the type of athletes that we go after, for the most part. And also athletes who have good character, and obviously, you know, have a good, you know, playing spirit on the field.
Now, I saw in the obviously we all saw in the WNBA and in the women's professional softball league, social justice issues were a huge issue, and the women courageously stood up for it. They stood up as a league. They stood up as individuals. Do you, as an agent, have any input into that?
I think it was amazing. And that's, for me, it's understanding that, like we just said, we're capturing our athletes to be more than just athletes. Athletes have voices too, and they're more than just athletes. So they have voice in different areas that, you know, needs to be reached and let out. And I feel like they did that this summer, and they stood on something. You know, I always hear this quote, you stand for nothing, you stand, you know, for nothing, you know. So they did that, and I applaud them for that. And I was really encouraged and motivated, just from what they did during the summer for the social injustice.
You know, I think it's really sad sometimes when people will take that, their stances, and are negative about them, whether people agree with their stance or not. And I don't know how people couldn't agree with it, but even if you don't agree with it, you have to respect. You know, they're putting their careers, they're putting their livelihood, potentially endorsements, God knows what else. They're putting it online, and for them to do that, it's so courageous, I think.
Yeah, and especially with the WNBA, knowing that they don't get paid that much anyway, and they're willing to risk their salaries, their pay cuts, their endorsements, like you said, just for something that, you know, they're passionate about, or something that's, you know, powerful in their hearts. And, you know, they're getting shamed for it, and getting so many negative things thrown at them. It's crazy.
Now, are you familiar with at all the Sarah Fuller, the kicker from Vanderbilt?
Yeah.
Um, do you have any thoughts on, you know, some people are saying, oh, this is just a gimmick. Some people are saying, you know, whatever. I think I applaud her. No matter what brought her there, no matter how she got there, she was there and she performed.
Yeah, I think it was beautiful. Like you said, she's the first one. She's the first one to do it. She made history. She played in a, you know, a top 5 conference. You know, you don't see females doing that. That's history. And I heard a lot of people were saying, she kicked a field goal, she got an extra point. Wow. It's like she's a female, she's not a guy, it's totally different, where everybody feels all that anxiety and stuff like that. It's different on a guy's level. She could have got hit. She could have, her kick could have got blocked, or somebody could have got past somebody and sacked her or something. So it's just crazy how people just shrugs it off just because she's a female. Like, that's empowering, and that's huge for women as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, it was one small step, it was one game, whatever, a couple of games actually. But Billie Jean King played one exhibition tournament against a man. Manon Rayon played goalie against men. Do you ever see a woman participating in either a top college sport or even a professional sport within the men?
I don't know, only because, I'm not gonna say we have our own lane, but you're not gonna have a Sanya Richards-Ross running with a Usain Bolt. It just doesn't go. But, for her to be able to be, in that, football realm with the guys, it's amazing. It's showing that, some female athletes can do it and some female athletes can't. So I feel like there should be a way for both. So if the females feel like they can go and play with the guys, so be it. And the ones that can't, you just keep the league the same.
Interesting. You also have stressed, I should say, I'm tripping over my word right now. You've stressed that it's important for your athletes, the athletes you represent, to be involved in their communities. Do you have to instruct them for that, or are those basically the athletes you're going after already?
Sometimes it's a little bit of both. Sometimes athletes don't know what that looks like. So even just the smallest thing of an athlete understanding that they could possibly do that is huge. So yes, to an extent, we do help them understand how to be involved in their community and stuff like that. But then you have the athletes who know that that's what they want to do. So it's a combination of both, but for the most part, we normally get the ones who really know what they want to do.
And what advice would you give a young athlete who doesn't have an agent yet, whatever level the person is? What advice would you give them about finding an agent?
I would say definitely do your research on that agent. Understand that just because you sign with a big agent does not mean that you're going to get the same value and the same time as some of those bigger clients that they have. So just keep that in mind. I know I've talked to a lot of former athletes or even current athletes who have left big time agencies, because it just wasn't a fit for them and they thought they were going to get something and they really weren't. So I would say definitely do your research and do what's best for you and your family for the most part.
Has being an agent affected your fandom of any of the sports?
Not really. I don't think so.
Well, can I put you on the spot and ask you who are your sport teams?
So I'm a Colts fan. I'm a Colts fan. I'm a Packers fan. I'm a
Packers. Oh, that hurts. I'm in Chicago. That one hurts.
Oh man, look, my husband's from Chicago, so he's a huge Chicago fan. So you can only imagine how those games be.
Oh, last week must have been fun for you guys.
Yeah, it was one for the ages. But so I'm a Fever fan. I'm a Pacers fan, and I'm a Portland Trail Blazers fan as well.
Boy, the WNBA season, this I mean, really, I know it's off topic a little bit, but man, what a season this was. Everything they had to fight through, and
Yeah.
to see it all the way through, that was just fantastic. But
Yeah.
I digress. So what do you do when you have a couple of minutes of spare time? What do you like to do in your spare time?
Oh man. I read my Bible. I talk a lot to God, a lot. I'm dancing a lot. I'm listening to music a lot, and I love the Minions, so I'm watching the Minions movie a lot, or even watching a lot of dance movies. So that's what I do on my downtime.
Okay. And do you have any favorite travel destinations, either that you've been to or on your list of places you want to go?
Paris and Aruba.
Oh, nice, nice. And maybe New Orleans if or where's the Super Bowl this year? Wherever it is, if the Packers make it, you might want to go there, I
Yeah.
guess. So, with everything that you're doing, what is next for you? What do you have any projects in the works?
So as of now, I am studying for my MBA license. I'm supposed to be sitting in for the test in February, hopefully. They don't really have a set date yet, only due to COVID. So that's one thing. And then for the most part, we're just recruiting and trying to build the sports agency.
Okay, one last silly question before I end this. In the alternate universe, what is your sports fantasy? Either as a player or as a fan, it's your fantasy.
Oh man.
I ask the tough questions.
Yeah. I would say, man, I would say I make it to the WNBA and I play for the Fever.
And you win the NBA title or the
Yes,
WNBA title,
yes, three
and then
times.
you give me the interview each and every time, and I get the scoops.
Yep.
Yeah, I hoard myself in on your little sports fantasy there, but I
Yeah.
do what I can. For for people that want more information about you, where could people find out information about you, either on the web or social media, whatever you would like to promote, or anything else you want to promote too?
So they can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Agent CSJ. And if you want to get to know Capture Sports Agency, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Capture Sports, and you can also like our Facebook page. It's pretty much at Capture Sports Agency.
Wonderful. Well, I sincerely appreciate your time. It's been a pleasure really talking to you. Learning about you through preparation for the interview was really fascinating. I really admire what you're doing. I admire what you've accomplished. And
Thank you.
I mean, your future is immensely huge. You're gonna really rock the world as you go on, and I'm gonna be following you, and I'll probably bug you for an interview somewhere else down the line. But
That's fun.
I really appreciate your time, and I really thank you much. And have a great evening. And as much as it kills me to say this, go Packers.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. You have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you too.